Welcome back. Hopefully, you just watched my most recent video on the first round predictions. This is going to be detailing the Bucks Heat eight, though the 1 versus 8 matchup, the first round for the 2023 playoffs. This is the third time that the Bucks have played the Heat in recent years. This is maybe I think the fourth, fifth time overall that they played together or played each other rather. I'm just going to go kind of off the top of the dome. I'm not going to look at a bunch of numbers. I'm going to just kind of go off of what I've seen online, the general consensus, and what I think personally. Watching a bunch of Bucks games, watching a bunch of the matchups that they've had this season. I had a version of this video and I just didn't feel good about it. I was really getting into it at the end of it, and I was like, yeah, like this is what I want to talk about the first like 5-6 minutes, which is kind of nothing. But I believe that the Bucks will win this in 6 games, and I know that's going to sound really pessimistic coming from a Bucks fan, but I'm so anxious about this run. You have no idea. I want this run to be golden. I think that the Bucks are so good that they could go 16-2, but I also think that they can probably go 16-8 or 16-9, right? Win the championship, but they have a couple of extended series, and maybe every series is extended just because of the way that people play the Bucks and how they match up and how much effort that teams put forth against them. But anyways, let's start on the Heat side of things. Jimmy Butler has had an all-NBA type season this year. He's been one of the better forwards especially in the Eastern Conference. You think about Tatum, you think about Giannis, you think about you think about Brown, you think about Randall, and then you're like, who else would stick out in the East as a forward? And you're like, oh yeah, Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler has really genuinely been one of the better forwards in the Eastern Conference because he's had to burden so much of the offensive load in Miami this season. And part of the reason how he's done that is his 3-point shooting. He hasn't shot the 3 a lot this season. And even then, I don't even think he's made it so that he's qualified for like advanced 3-point statistics. I think he's like in the same boat as Giannis where they've like career low attempts in threes. Anyways, it's just that Jimmy Butler is always going to provide a level of grit, experience, engagement, and just like heart and will into any playoff series that he's in. But then you have the inconsistency with the rest of the team, which is Bam Adebayo, the shooting, and just where is that offense going to come from kind of deal. Bam Adebayo is an all-NBA type player at his best. And I'm not saying he's going to be second team, like arguing kind of deal. He is probably at minimum, probably top 7, top 8 center if he's playing at his absolute best. Right, you can put him into that conversation in that lower range, not like lower as in like 1, 2, 3, but like lower as in like 8, 9, 10 kind of deal. And when he is assertive, and when he's attacking the rim, and when he's just being like super dominant, and when he has that defensive flow going, and then he get takeover in 2K, he gets that like takeover mentality where he's like, I can do this. I'm a ball out right now. Give me the ball. Let me do it like spin reverse. Drop step kind of deal, and he's getting to the rim and getting free throws and stuff like that. But the Heat recently have retooled their I don't want to say necessarily their mindset, but maybe like their game plans in general. They know that they can be a pretty solid defensive team. You have Jimmy, you have Bam, you have an experienced vet in like Kyle Lowry. Now you have Kevin Love coming off the bench. Not great on defense, but good rebounding, good hands. They're really sound, at least in fundamentals. Like they know how they get into passing lanes, they get good deflections. They have those kinds of tangibles. However, their offense does not have that. They do not have the continuity. They do not have the means to be able to, have 5 double-digit scorers that are scoring 15 plus points. Right? You might get Jimmy, you might get Bam, you might get Tyler Hero, but beyond that, it's like, okay, we might get Vincent to hit a 3 or a 2, a deep 2, and you might get Max Strus to hit a couple threes, but is Duncan Robinson going to show up? What is Kyle Lowry going to do? Is he going to be an actual playmaker, or is he going to try and run an offense and he's just kind of distributing kind of deal? Or are you going to have Caleb Martin, who's going to be in like a second unit, who's going to try and, catch and shoot, or if he's going to like go off the dribble? But all of those things, they just never felt conjoined, and they never felt like they had continuity with each other. And if someone's going to try and make a leap or try to provide on offense, it's going to take away from what they can provide defensively, because the offensive weapons that they have are so like, they're like prongs sticking out of a center, whatever that might look like. They're not this holistic kind of like full voluptuous thing. They stick out as like one specific wing of this hub that they have on their offense. And it's like, okay, well, you might be able to hit a jump shot, but are you going to be able to get back on defense and prevent transition plays with Drew Holiday, Javon Carter, Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton, even Bobby Portis will get out in the break and he'll push the ball out and try to go. As for the Bucks, defensively, when they try to do that, they're going to limit the 3-point attempts. They're going to try to, because the scouting, you might say, oh, well, they only had an extra day or like 1 day to prepare and whatnot. But that's the thing, is they've had 4 games against each other this season, and they understand how this Heat team plays, and they've watched these 2 games recently. The Hawks did it. If the Hawks can do it, a team who matches up really well against the Bucks, and the Heat are in a similar position, matching up with the Bucks, then they're going to try to take the blueprint from that and apply it to the Heat. And if they can do that, then they have the recipe, they have the means to be able to go out and beat this Heat team pretty handedly. You think about what they do defensively. You have Jay Crowder, who we'll get into that in a second. Jay Crowder, Drew Holiday, even Wes Matthews. You have Javon Carter, Brook Lopez, obviously, who should be Defensive Player of the Year. I have no idea where this Evan Mobley love came from out of nowhere. I guess because the Nets aren't talked about as much. Nick Claxton kind of just fell off, or whatever the case may be. But, respect to him. Good job. Good for him. But come on, Depoy's right there. And in this matchup, when you have someone in this drop coverage and navigating around these screens, the Heat tried to emulate a little bit of what the Warriors do, but in their own kind of way. And now, when you think about it, when you think about like the navigation of, is Drew Holiday going to fight over the screen and let Brook kind of like gobble up some of those shot attempts that Caleb Martin or Jimmy Butler, but they're going to want to eat those because they're a good free throw shooting team. They're going to want to get to the line. They're going to attack and put Brook in foul trouble, put Giannis in foul trouble, force them to try and fight around screens, and then make decisions on defense from there. But that's the thing, is the Bucks are so sound defensively that even if they're going to try and make them work really, really hard on defense, they might have a good defense, but the capability that the Bucks have in transition to be able to convert steals into actual points and possessions, and the new rule, the fast break, the take foul rule kind of deal, they have the means to be able to challenge that defense and make them pay for it. Or challenge their offense and make them pay for it with their defense. Defense into offense, and I just think having the best player on the planet makes this so easy, because you can go through him on one end of the floor, and then he can also just, who is he going to guard? Is he going to guard? I don't even who would be their 4 coming off for them, because I know sometimes they've had Strus play a 4 in this like weird position that they have, and if he's not guarding someone in particular, having Giannis being able to be a floater and like contest jump shots or playmaking abilities. And I think this will be the first time that they'll play. Well, yeah, it will be the first time that they play in the playoffs with Kyle Lowry, I believe, unless they played 2 seasons ago and he was still there. But even so, you have these guys who have experience against Giannis, experience against this Bucks team, but this new scheme of running people off the 3-point line, they're going to be able to convert a lot of that into their defensive rebounding. They're one of the best rebounding teams in the NBA. They're going to try and force a lot of turnovers. They just have what it takes to stop this team in a meaningful way. Now we talk about, is Grayson going to be back? Is Pat going to be back? Is Middleton going to be back? Is Middleton going to be available enough to where you can actually rely on him to have that offensive potency? Or I don't want to say potency, because people don't like to talk about Middleton and what he brings offensively and how actually incredibly crucial he is to the operation that is the Bucks half-court offense. You think about one of the better offenses since the All-Star break and since he returned and whatnot, essentially being like 30-5 or really, really near that, like a 1-6 or a 6-1 like win-loss ratio. That's incredible, and part of that is because Middleton has been able to provide his offense. And now you have Brooks, someone who's been averaging over 20 points since we started that streak, and going whatever our record was until the end of the season. And if you get him involved and he's going to work and he's putting Bam in trouble, and even if Bam gets a couple of contested shots on him, Brook is still going to be making him put a bunch more effort in, where he's not going to be able to put that effort in on defense, where Brook might get a lot of shots that he contests and has to put a lot of effort forward, but it's that slow pace, that that slow-mo, like he dribble like 2 big steps, and then he's like 3 feet away from the rim, and it's just a tiny little runner and goes in. And if not, shot gets blocked, or if he misses, then you have someone crashing the glass, and you have the ability of someone in transition defense, and Giannis, in Drew, and Javon, where you have these guys who are fast, they have hands, they have great IQ, they understand their spacing on the floor offensively and defensively. Now it's just a matter of, are they going to be engaged for game one? It's been 10, it's been 11 days since they've had a game, a meaningful game in which that they needed to play their starters and they played hard. There was a quote from Grayson who was talking about, like, yeah, we just had practice for the first time in, a few days. And that was one of the hardest practices that we've had all season. We're going at it, we're going live kind of deal. And that's like, you don't hear about that because you get these insights from these players about a coach who doesn't like to talk about what they do a whole lot because, the system that he comes from, he started, I don't want to say he started with the Spurs, but I know that he had another team, but he comes from that Spurs culture where he's just very deliberate in what they do and that they're always about being really fundamentally sound and that they're going to try and do something. They have this really great culture. And you hear a guy say, like, oh, that was one of the tougher practices that we've had all season. And it's their 10-day break that they have off before that they can, before their first round matchup. And it's like, oh, wow, maybe this team is going to come ready. And, we have a couple hours until then, and we're going to have first game in Milwaukee where the playoffs run through Pfizer Forum because they have the best overall record kind of deal. It's really exciting. It's exciting to see that this team is taking this run seriously. They want a championship. You hear and see videos of Giannis saying, like, we're going for a second one. That's our goal, is a championship. For anyone else who says otherwise, like, you're lying to yourself. It is about the championship. And I'm just really excited because I think that the Heat have what it takes to take a game, to push a really close, maybe second game, to steal 2 wins in the series, steal game 2, steal game 5 kind of deal. And that's scary, right? Kind of puts them 3-2. But I just think that the Bucks are just overall better. They have better continuity. Their chemistry is better. They know where their offense can come from, even if that's from Joe Ingles, hitting pull up weird, crazy old man step back threes, or creating a pick and roll with Brook Lopez. If it's, in transition when they're getting out on the break because they just stole a ball off of pick and roll and Drew Holiday's passing up to Grayson Allen and, Allen yamming it from the dotted line, or it's Giannis just imposing his will, going, 15 points in one quarter in a second quarter kind of deal. And then he has 33, 34 points by the start of the fourth quarter. And it's like, oh, we're talking about the best team in basketball. We're talking about the best player in basketball. And we'll see. We'll see if that holds true throughout the series. And I really think that it does. I think that the Bucks can do this in 5. I would love for them to sweep, get some even more rest, because being healthy is important here. But let me know what you think. Personally, I'm being pessimistic. I don't care what you have to say. Bucks in 6. I think the Heat are trending in the right way right now, but I think the Bucks ultimately are going to take the series. Giannis is the best player on the planet. Bucks are the best team in basketball, and let's watch some good basketball, man. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you have an incredible day. I love you. You're cherished. You're loved. Make sure you tell other people that you love them as well, and let's have a good one. I will see you again next time. Peace.